All right, welcome back, dedicated fans and followers, to the new tutorial. Here we go. So last time we imported our clips and saw a little bit about organizing into key folders. But now we're going to jump into the actual timeline and what that does for us. So let's pull in some clips. Got a clip highlighted here. It's easy to change in and out points by, like I said in the last video, clicking I, just a letter I on the keyboard. And then you can click O for the out point. Easy way to get your edits done kind of before you get into the timeline and the nitpicky stuff. So let's drag that down in. That's about the easiest thing to do. You just drag it in. And now your clip is in the timeline and it's in the viewer. So first thing you need to know is the magnification of the timeline. So if you go down here, if you look at my mouse, I'm down by these little magnifying glass. If I click that, it stretches out the clips so I'm able to see more and get a more up close and personal view with the clip. Also, if you notice, the time code changes. So if I pull that back out, clip gets smaller. Just a way to see either if you're going in to edit something really nitpicky inside the clip, that's a great way to do that. And if to pull out to get a kind of a more general edit done. Easy to do that as well. A shortcut for that would be Command plus and minus, would zoom your timeline in and out. Makes your editing a little bit faster. So now let's get into these guys over here. These are your best friends and your worst friends sometimes. So if I import a clip, or I drag a clip into the timeline, this guy is what we call snapping. So this is also the shortcut for this tool is N. So if I click N, it turns off. Click N, it turns on. So if you notice, see this yellow line that pops up? That's because the clips are snapping together. So it's really helpful when you're trying to put two clips together. You don't have to literally get them right next to each other so there's not a second of black in between. But it's also a really pain when you're trying to do very precise placing of clips. So if you turn that sucker off, now you have the freedom to place the clip wherever you want. Turn it on and you can snap it right back into place. Moving on, we have these two guys. These guys are kind of a package deal. You turn one off, they both go off. And this is the scrubbing. So if I were to turn these off, I cannot scrub through my timeline, basically meaning that I cannot, as I'm moving the mouse over, it's not popping up in my viewer. So if I turn that on, then again I have a view of what I'm scrubbing over is the term they use. So we definitely want that on. Always want to have that on. Okay, and here's your tools. So you got arrow, trim, position, range selection, blade, zoom, hand. And as you can see, there's the corresponding letter keys on your keyboard, so it's quick and easy to get to them. So for example, if I want blade, click B, A, back to arrow. You're going to use that a lot. Arrow is pretty much your usual drag and pull. If you go down to trim, you can trim the end clips. As you can see right there, I'm trimming. And also if you go back to arrow, a trimmer pops up as well. So just keep in mind it's not totally all that useful because you have it in the arrow selection, but you can always use something for some other kind of use. So let's delete this clip and I'm going to show you what the position tool does. So if you pull up the position tool, you can literally move the clip anywhere you want in the timeline. Now you ask me, why can't you do that with the arrow? The arrow is on a magnetic timeline, so it automatically pulls the clip back to the beginning. So that is why I use the position tool to move it into a certain position, if you will. Moving down the list, we got the range selection. This is pretty nifty. With this tool, you can just select certain parts of the clips, either delete them, or okay, I'm going to take the arrow now, and I'm going to move that section over there. So that's helpful. And down to the blade, and this is going to be your best friend. This is just your chopper. If you want to take certain parts out of the clip, you just come through, chop it up, go back, click A, back to arrow. Okay, I really don't want that section. I don't want that section. And you kind of form this quick, little edit. Not that that's anything cool. So that is the blade tool, and then you got your zoom. This is pretty much what occurs right here, what I showed you before, but it's the exact same thing. You're just zooming in by clicking. Again, it's helpful if you're getting really into the edit, up close and personal, trying to get a really specific thing to happen. And then the hand tool is just, you use it to grab and to move through your timeline. It's not going to be able to grab any clips, but it's just to move through your timeline. But when you have a trackpad, you just have to do 2 fingers on the trackpad to move through your timeline. So there are the tools. I also wanted to hit on this S over here. I didn't hit on this before, but if I go to arrow, I can select this. And if I click S, it's soloing just that clip. So if I were to have other clips in here, if I drag them in, you'll see that they're black and white because it's not gonna play the audio for those clips. You would hear the obvious, or you'd see the obvious video, but you wouldn't hear the audio. So that'll helps a lot when you're using a lot of audio, and for VCTV use some audio. So if you want to, instead of muting it, you can just solo it. I hope that helps a little bit with just dragging clips into the timeline and getting a little familiar with the setup, and the tools you will be using to be the most effective way of editing. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.